Hi everyone, we are starting a new paper this week, and so let's go ahead and talk about our multimodal argument and explanatory essay. So one thing I want to point out to you is that we have this little plus sign here for a reason. This is really going to be a project in two parts, okay? Part one is going to be your multimodal argument. I also call it a original argument. I also call it digital text. There's a few different words for it, but the main thing that you're going to be making for this project is going to be, it could be something like a video, it could be something like a blog post. It could be something like a poster, an infographic, a podcast, a song, a painting. I'm really open-minded about like how you make it or what you make it with. But the main goal is going to be that you have some sort of argument that you're making. The most common arguments that people tend to make with these are review arguments, where they're reviewing a movie or an album or a product of some kind, or they're giving a how-to guide, like how to make a certain recipe, how to do a push-up, how to change your oil. So it's just kind of like up to you what kind of argument you want to make. Don't feel like it has to be like a political argument or a social argument or like even a super direct, straightforward argument. It could be something like if you do want to make something that is a little bit more traditional argument, you can also think about things like why you should buy your clothes secondhand or why you should floss your teeth or whatever. Okay, and so don't feel like it has to be like a super traditional argument. And if you're having any trouble deciding what you want to make, which is very common, please just let me know if you have an idea and like you're like, I don't know if this would work, but so you're going to make that. That's going to be part one. Part two is going to be the essay that you write about the choices that you made in creating your part one of this project. Okay, so let's say you make a video recipe, and it's about how to make a cake. And then your paper would be about how you show your ethos in how you talk about how you've baked a lot for a long time, and that's why you're credible to make a cake. And it'll talk about how the thing that you made is a video and it is a recipe video. And so there's going to be all of these things that you're doing where we're describing the thing that you made. And it's called meta-analysis. Okay, so it's self-referential. You'll say, this is the choice that I made when I was making my video. I wanted to make it from first person perspective. And so I got this kind of camera or whatever. And we're going to talk more about what this essay should look like. If you have any questions about either of these projects, I did include a sample. This is something that I made. This is my poster from Comic-Con that I made for last year's Comic-Con and presented there. And then I wrote an essay about it just as an example for you all, so you get a little bit of a sense of like what this essay should look like or how I would write it. You don't have to totally copy me or anything like that, but hopefully that just gives you a little more confidence moving into the paper of like, okay, I think I know what the expectations are. The essay is going to be the only part of the assignment that I actually grade. I'm not going to grade the original argument, multimodal argument part of it. So like if you make a video and you're like, I don't really know how to make a video, don't worry about it because I'm not going to grade that part. I'm going to be only grading the essay where you explain the choices that you made in making your video. Another thing that can happen, and especially we do have a little bit of a short time period for this project, just because of spring break. And so another thing that could happen is you could get ambitious and you think, ooh, I have a really good idea of something I want to make, but I just don't have enough time. Very common problem. So if that happens to you, just know you can also turn in a pitch or a partial script for something you'd want to make that's like more ambitious, like a movie or a video game. Let's say you have a great idea for a video game and you're like, I don't have time to make a video game in 3 weeks. You can turn in a pitch for a video game where you say, this is the video game I want to make. And then your essay could be describing how you would make that video, how you would use logos in your video game, how you would use these certain conventions in your video game, okay? Now, when we look down at the the rubric down here, you can see I'm going to be grading this basically based on completion. And so you just want to read through and make sure that you're using these terms that I'm using. So for summary, you want to make sure that you talk about genre and medium. For intentions, you want to make sure that you talk about audience and purpose. Rhetorical appeals, these are very familiar probably. It's going to be the four that we've been talking about, pathos, logos, ethos, and kairos. And you want to make sure you talk about all four. And then finally, with this discourse and genre conventions, I just want you to use the word conventions and to talk about things that you've noticed in the model text that you're comparing your own work to. And that's going to be an assignment that's coming up. So if that sounds confusing, Just keep in mind, I want you to be using the terminology here because the goal of this assignment is to show me that you've learned these concepts from class and that you can apply them to your own work. All right, so let me know if you end up having any questions. We're going to be turning this in parts, and so hopefully it'll be easier to see if you're kind of on the right track, like we did with the last paper. Yeah, let me know if you have any questions, and good luck with your brainstorming.